Hey, it's Dieter and Jake on a Friday, and we don't want to be here. We don't wanna, it's this is when the toll of a season that's done nothing for no one. This is when it hits, my friend. When you're like, it's the Friday before Christmas. We all have a million things to do because heaven forbid we have our acts together. And in general, this game not terribly exciting, Jake.
Folks, do you know the word doldrums? Because that's the vibe. We got
nothing.
A soon to be rainy Saturday.
Oh,
With we got
can you
some
imagine? Can we just go to Miami? Games. I mean, I'm excited about the college football. Don't get me wrong.
We got college football,
but 75 degrees and sunny sounds pretty sweet right now, even in Northern California.
I think you were the one to say it. The Super Bowl should only be played in Miami exclusively.
I'm for it, as long as they got the roof. You know,
I
think LA is a pretty good Super Bowl venue.
LA's great. So since this game is inherently a joke and both teams really have nothing to play for except draft seeding, which is actually a big one because the Dolphins currently have the 11th, 49ers are 15th, same record. Could be a big loss. I'm going to do a little story time.
Oh, tell me.
Just in the sort of going back to that Super Bowl. So 2019, first year I covered the 49ers.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is incredible. The world is a beautiful place. You know, what an awesome time covering a great team. And and we went down to Miami where Dieter was familiar with. And every day we were all grinding. We were grinding every single day, talking to players, talking to coaches, having a great time. And then we'd like stay out until, 2, 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
Shout out Club Deuce, right?
Shout out Club Deuce. Max Club Deuce.
Max Club Deuce.
It's an all-timer.
All-timer. And it was a great time. And I'm like, wow, it's incredible that this is just what covering an NFL team is like. And it's been great. But very, very quickly after, I went to the NFL Combine for the one and only time. Had a really mediocre at best experience.
That's called the 5-star Indianapolis experience, my friend.
It's there's not much going on. I was uncomfortable the whole time. Didn't know who to talk to.
That's right.
Or what I was doing there.
You're just hanging out at Shula's.
No, I didn't even make it in there. I did.
Whatever the bar is at the basement of the JC Marriott.
I did see not Andy Reid, Bruce Arians rocking a Kangol at just the most mediocre food spot I've ever seen, which was great.
That's like the king coming to town in Indianapolis.
Exactly. It's very weird, and they should never move it from there. But I came back from there, and then COVID hit, which somehow, Dieter, is what, 5 years ago now?
It's going to be 5 years, yeah.
It's insane. We're all
broken from it still, which is fantastic.
But anyway, the 49ers and Dolphins in that spirit have to play each other in a game that really doesn't mean much. But I think for us, it goes back to the stuff that we wanted to see. Right. And we mentioned it in the last one. I really just want to see them target Ricky Pearsall 5 times. See what happens.
We're so well on the record about that even I'm annoyed by our take on that.
I am too.
So let's not talk about that anymore. We're not going to get Isaac Orendo, it seems, on Sunday. That's a bummer, right? I think we all wanted some more IG in our life. And so that means like Patrick Taylor and
maybe we get Abanaconda and we can all, I don't know. Maybe that's something.
Listen, I have no problem seeing it because I'm happy to take my victory lap on Jag Island where he's just a guy. Like but he ran fast. We'll go run track.
Yeah. You know what this is really setting up for? It's setting up for me to lose my fantasy football championship.
If you could fill the rest of the time with that would go well. That would really help the numbers.
To a guy who has Jonnu Smith on his team because they don't have Jalen Waddle and they've just been force feeding Jonnu Smith.
It's Jonnu, former FIU Panther. Don't ask me how I know that. Used to cover Jonnu Smith at FIU. So
spent a lot of time down there.
I did, and then I had to get as far away from there as possible for many reasons.
They ran you out of the state.
They should be so lucky as to run me out of the state of Florida. I would take that as a compliment that they ran me out of the state of Florida. I've been back since.
Hard state to get run out of, Florida.
They're pretty much accepting all walks
of life.
Yeah, all of America's worst people. Come on down, and
all of America's best reptiles.
Yes, well, and reptile people, which is an even stranger subset that people in Florida somehow believe about. Here's what I want to see in this game. Brock Purdy is going to have it 75 degrees and sunny. Can the son bitch throw a deep ball? Because I went through, Jake, and did a little film study, and I didn't want to make this a video because it was boring. But I watched all 39 of Brock Purdy's 20-plus air yard throws this season. And let me tell you, that boy could rip it. That early in the season, it was something to see. And I'm not implying that, he's got Anthony Richardson arm or even a Joe Flacco arm. Like, I'm saying that he threw a accurate, timely, zippy deep ball. I'm not saying anything above 45, 50 yards, but like that, it was a nice part of his game and something that the 49ers used with the plum.
Back to the Kittle throw last year.
Totally. So the idea that Brock Purdy can't throw the deep ball never jived up with, it's been suggested as of late because he hasn't thrown the deep ball well as of late, but that never jived up with my understanding of Brock Purdy. And I felt like I was taking crazy, but I'm going to watch them all. I can't tell you when it started to deteriorate. I don't think it actually has deteriorated, is where I'm at. He had a bunch of them in Chicago or against Chicago. It was fine. They were fine. He didn't throw a single one of them against Tampa Bay or Seattle coming out of the bye. There was no 20-plus air yard throws in those two games, which is interesting in and of itself. Didn't play in Green Bay. Buffalo doesn't count. They had one. Yep. It was the Pearsall play where he slipped. Then he throws a bunch against Chicago. They look pretty good, right? Perhaps discernible if you're really paying attention, but like that was nitpicky. And then last week, he's throwing a ton of them against the Rams, and they all suck. And I'm looking at it, and I go, man, is it the shoulder? I'm thinking it's the shoulder. It's got to be the shoulder. I think it's just the wet ball. I think he's got carny hands. And I'm interested to find out. There's no way we're not going to find out this week. Because
case of wet shoulder?
Yeah, right. Got pork shoulder going on, and put it in the slow roaster too long. But like 75 degrees and sunny. Beautiful day. I hope the deep ball's there for him.
Let it rip, man. Yeah.
Because then at least we know, hey, this dude's got to wear a glove or something in the rain. Then we have an extremely strong case towards, because we know he can't play in the rain. We know that's a thing. But like the deep ball deteriorating in the rain, well, now we can narrow it down and narrow it down and narrow it. It's like, okay, well, how can we solve this problem? We can't make his hands any bigger. Well, okay, how do we
modern medicine advances pretty quickly, Dieter? I wouldn't. There's still time.
Should we put him in like the stretch? Is that a thing? I don't know.
Maybe they have those things for
they do
for your feet, that they do it for your hands.
The reverse geisha.
Exactly what I was thinking. God, we're not well.
No, we're not. And this is our best show yet. So interested to see Brock Purdy throw a pass beyond 20 yards because, Jake, I'll just pull it up here. It was awful. They were awful. And I'm with you, Woodpit 420, legend of the show. Some bitch went to Iowa State. It's never been nice in Ames, Iowa. Not a single day of
and maybe that's why he wasn't highly recruited or he wasn't highly thought of coming out.
He was neither highly recruited nor well thought of. So yeah, there is something to be said there. Oh, Jake, these notes. I mean, he didn't have a good one. Yeah, there was not a single good deep ball. He threw one.
And that was one of the things
7.
I remember when he replaced Jimmy. One of the things, because basically two things were missing from the 49ers offense at quarterback. Well, more than two things, but two things. There were a lot of things wrong. There were a few things wrong. Let me be clear. But the two main things were off-schedule plays, being able to avoid a sack for a second, buy time, make off-schedule plays. The 49ers are pretty terrible off-schedule. Their receivers and Purdy, for the most part, are pretty bad at coming back to the ball. And I don't know what that is.
Well, they're a terrible scramble drill team because they can't separate they just can't separate.
Yeah, and the amount of times Purdy's like yelled at somebody to come back to the ball, and they've been like, I don't know what that means.
Well, you think Kyle's practicing scramble drill? No,
probably not.
Nothing will ever go the way that Kyle doesn't think it's going to go.
It's antithetical to Kyle's wisdom is to say, "Oh, this might not work out." So I think that's a fair point, but that was missing, right? You were missing a quarterback who could make off schedule plays, and Brock had that.
Right.
Number 2 thing was pushing the ball vertically, testing that deep third,
right,
and actually making defenses account for a deep ball, not just saying, "All right, it's going to go 5 to 20 yards down the middle hashes." And Brock can push it to the boundary a little bit. So he's got all those things that don't make him necessarily this elite, crazy armed quarterback, but it was an elevation over Jimmy, who is so limited in that regard that defenses could account for it. And that led to them having this outrageous offense last year. But you're right. He's been so inconsistent with that deep ball this year that it's been a real head scratcher. And I get it. I mean, I asked him about the shoulder this week.
Yeah, I appreciate you doing that.
He gave a nothing answer.
And again, when he gave the nothing answer, I'm like, we got him. And now I'm going to have the evidence to show that his shoulder. And then I looked, I'm like, it's not his shoulder. It's probably not his shoulder. If it's his shoulder,
hesitant to say it's his shoulder, but I don't know. Maybe it'll probably come out, in the offseason that Brock Purdy played through or something in an AC, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not convinced that his shoulder is well, but it wasn't well for the Bears game either, and he was zipping him in there. I mean, that's the thing. It's a ball with zip. So what you're looking to avoid is ducks, where it starts to float. And he'll throw a bit of a sinker every now and again, where about, two-thirds
Zips versus ducks would be a great national championship game in CFB.
Let's go, Akron.
Let's go. Sorry, go on.
So I'm more of a Toledo Rockets man personally, but yeah, about 2/3 of the way through an arc of the throw, a lot of times it'll just sort of die. And against the Rams, it started fluttering a little bit there. So I thought that would be something that we would have seen since the Seattle game, for whatever that's worth, which is when he ostensibly injured his shoulder. And no, not a thing. Wasn't an issue against the Bears. So I just think it's the weather. And that's not great, but at least we're closer.
It's going to lead to some more and more just worrisome not worrisome dialogue, but exhausting dialogue just going into the offseason about whether you can pay. And I think it's a fair concern if he can't play. And
should we pocket watch Brock Purdy right now?
Yeah, absolutely.
By
the way, that's one thing I did want to mention. So, we were talking about him giving his offensive lineman Toyotas. Yeah. And I was like, there is not a chance that man paid for them. Mm-hmm. He's got a sweet Toyota deal.
You know who is going to pay for him, though?
Kyle burned him. Kyle straight up burned him today. Larry asked him about it.
Yeah, classic.
Of course, and he goes, I think it shows he's a hell of a guy and that he got a hell of a deal.
Yeah. I think it's also I'm doubling down. I don't give a shit. Here's a 5-figure tax bill, all of the offensive linemen. I hope you wanted a Toyota because now you have one. And you can't do the cool part where with any other, gift or contest you win where you say, I'd like the cash equivalent. No. You just have to have this car. And now you have to pay both gift and income tax on it because gifting a car is one of the worst things you can do because anything above $18,000 is now subject to taxation. So Brock is out here just saying, yeah, here's a car. I would hope that Brock and the fine people at NorCal Toyota thought this
through. By the way, we're open for business.
It is Toyota-thon. Incredible deals. I would hope that they have this as a multi-year lease that is now gifted, right? It is a complimentary car with a lease because that is not subject to taxation. People go, he's one up Patrick Mahomes who gave those guys golf carts. Well, those golf carts cost less than $18,000, which is the individual tax limit in the code. So you don't have to pay a tax on it if you receive it as a gift. Brock Purdy's giving out $85,000 cars. That's like forever. By the way, not to go full Jonathan Gannon, but who took the bus to practice that day? These guys all have cars. They're all, I mean, not all multimillionaires, but they all make good money. Like, which one of them was like, yeah, man, I really need a car, and I if only someone would give me a Tundra.
Folks, I can't tell you how many messages I got from Dieter about the tax ramifications of this decision. And quite honestly, I think you need to go and find out. This is on you to find out, what are the tax ramifications? Are these leases? Did they get a full deal?
I don't know how to be nice, but I'm going to give it a little bit of time.
That's a great take.
I would hope so. I would hope that Brock Purdy took the tax ramifications in. This is an Oprah situation again. Oprah
Here's the thing.
Hit all of those people with free cars and tax bills, and then they couldn't. Oh, it was a mess.
Here's the thing. Nick Zakel, his roommate,
yeah.
who Fordham guy, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, go Rams.
He came in, and normally when you talk to rookies, you ask, what's your major? What did you do in college? And he's like, yeah, I have a plan if this doesn't work out. I think he's like a business administration
major. That's a good idea, because let's be honest, it was probably not going to work out for him.
He lucked into the best roommate of all time, and I bet you he ran this by Zakel. He's like, is this like, how does this
well
work?
They're not living together anymore.
Well, you might as well. I bet Purdy's got a little side
What, do you
spot
think he's living in an ADU in the backyard?
Yeah, sure. That's exactly what I'm suggesting.
It's like a Kalo Kalin, which is well before your time.
This is exactly what I'm saying. I couldn't be more clear about this.
Don't talk to Kyle Juszczyk about money stuff. Leaving it at that. So, listen, I'm thrilled that Brock got the fine, incredible people at NorCal Toyota dealers to come up with a plan to make some sort of video to get him back in the good graces of Niners fans. And I would love to say there's no downside to this, but I hope he did his homework to ensure that there's no downside to this. This is what we're talking about.
Would be very funny if he didn't. And they're like, and the linemen all have to figure out like how to decline.
Yeah, right. Like, hey, Merry Christmas. Here's a headache. Like, how do I navigate not being rude? Right? Like, how do I navigate? Like, wow, you gave me a car. That's incredible. Like, what a thoughtful.
I hope Parag was involved in this.
I mean, that's the other thing too. That is $850,000 worth of car at the minimum. Okay, someone's paying that $850,000, and Brock makes less than $1 million. Is it $1 million these days from the 49ers?
Like, it might be just over $1 million this year. Let me find out. It's been like 950 something.
So let's just take a quick moment to provide some advice to the fine people out there. Don't spend 80% of your take-home pay on gifts for offensive linemen. That's just a good general life lesson. If you need to engrave it, go ahead.
Also,
they're sweet-ass cars, but like, I don't know, maybe these guys don't want a truck. Maybe they don't have the room to park it at their apartment.
They want a truck.
Then what about the 4 guys who got the Sequoia? And they're like, oh, great, now I don't have a truck.
Yeah, Brock's got $985,000 this year, which is more like $500,000. So that's
JW's Galaxy branding, and some of these guys might be driving Ubers by the end of the year anyway. So
I love it. I
don't think Benali, as smart as you were on the last comment, I don't think you guys understand the basic economies of doing NorCal Toyota dealers commercials. I don't think it's that lucrative a deal.
He's doing national Toyota.
I can't verify that.
Andy did a Bluey ad. Come on.
He did a Bluey ad? No, I thought he did Paw Patrol.
Did he do Paw Patrol?
Don't be mixing don't be mixing your shit up. If it was a Bluey ad, that shit would have been on in my house.
That was Paw
a real
Patrol.
Test and those and those Paw Patrol dogs, fuck them. Those shits.
Damn.
Okay.
Shots fired.
I don't like them. They have way too many cuts. That shit's bad for kids' brains. Okay.
Wow.
So apparently we're going with Wood Pit Legend. He got the SUV. He wanted the pickup. Okay. Sorry. Apparently Brock Purdy's ads are national.
Yeah.
That's great.
I knew it. I knew that.
And we are aware Toyota sponsors Brock.
And soon to sponsor us. And that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Advice. In general, get a cheap car. I am running a lovely 2018 Mazda just straight into the ground.
Don't give too much away. You might have to fend them off, you know?
Well, Whoever wants to sponsor us, whichever local car dealership.
Don't let your girlfriend know. Don't let your girlfriend know that you've let everyone know you're driving around a 2018 Mazda right now, because you're going to be fed. I've seen the numbers. There's 7% of our audience are females. They might be coming. I'm just saying. They're here for the hutch, and they're going to be like, whoa, a Mazda?
Great vehicles. Can't recommend them highly enough. But I will say,
what the fuck are you talking about? All you do is bitch about that car.
Well, I just had to get the brakes replaced. It's a great car. It's a great car, folks.
How is my point is,
hey, enough with Dieter and his tax code. All I'm saying, people get expensive cars they can't afford. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Go get yourself.
Stop spending beyond your means on cars.
That's right.
And then spend all the money that you saved by fixing up the car. That's the story of my 2007 Honda CR-V.
That's been our 49ers Dolphins preview.
And Tyreek Hill is questionable.
Jalen Waddle's out.
Yeah. Well, was he ever really in this season?
No.
Yeah.
I'm not sure Jalen Waddle's real.
Yeah. He's got a dance, and sometimes he gets underneath routes that go for 70 yards. That happens about 3 times a year, and then you're like, whoa, impressive. And then you realize that was it. That's all that was there. So
yeah,
I'm shot. I'm done.
So one thing I do want to mention.
Yeah, let's talk about actual football.
Briefly, and then we can get out of here in this beautifully. This goes back to our roots.
This was before anyone was watching, baby.
Yeah, this is when no one was watching the pod, when it was just us talking into a void about nothing. Shout out all of you sick individuals. I feel like this is the holiday energy.
This is next level chaotic.
Yeah, but I asked Chris Forster.
Oh, great. Okay, offensive line. Here we go.
The offensive line.
Yeah.
Because
what's he driving?
They have not. That's a great question.
How many people are going to re-gift a Tundra?
A Tundra. It's a great name for a car.
It is a great name for a truck. And the Sequoia is a great name for an SUV. And we love Toyota and our NorCal Toyota dealers, and just can't get enough of them.
You love it. But so Chris Forster, I asked him about the O-line. Like, he's a guy that you ask him at the start of the season, and you go, so the O-line is that is. I don't know if you've seen the thing, by the way, to go to that Subaru Forester comment. Somebody did a thing where they clicked on any street in Oregon to try and find a street that did not have a Subaru hatchback, and they could not find a street.
Not a chance. Worst drivers in America in Oregon.
Oh,
they think they're being courteous. They're the worst.
They're awful. Anyway, football.
So Chris Subaru Forster is up at the podium.
Forster. I ask him, he loves the process. He likes talking about coaching. When somebody makes a mistake, that's the joy of football, right? Is going through the season, working into it. I'm not going to address that comment. I'm moving past it. And he loves talking about that process, but we're towards the end of that process.
The process is going great.
Things have not processed, to be blunt.
Yeah.
They have not evolved. And usually this is an offensive line that I would say starts off mediocre to poor, works into the season, rounds into shape. Yeah. I don't think they've done that by any stretch.
Nope.
They had I don't know, 1 or 2 games that I think were solid, but it has not been impressive. Usually they get the run game going, and that defines them. So I asked him, how would you say you face those challenges, whatever?
Yeah.
He's like, I think we're like the team. We're not good enough. He said people were grading out better heading into the Green Bay game, which suggests to me that the 2 games after the bye, Tampa and Seattle, he graded out the O-line decently. And then they go to Green Bay. Buffalo obviously is fun for the O-line. And then he's like, we didn't play well last week. So he simultaneously acknowledged that the offensive line has been poor, but also didn't, said they've been playing, probably a little bit better than whatever is assessed. I would disagree.
Guess they're
with
grading
that.
On a curve. I mean, it is.
I don't know. I mean, I can go play. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not getting any push, and apparently Brendel's better at 9 specific things. So. No, that's tax loopholes.
Yeah.
You keep McKivitz, you keep Pooney. Okay.
Probably keep more.
And you keep more. And you get multiple options at left guard, and you get yourself a new center. one of the things that you brought up in the last episode, you'd like to see the Nuge. That ain't going to happen, at least this week. I'd like to see the Nuge.
Week 18.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Right.
Maybe.
So
but I think Moore is a guy that, if I'm not mistaken, would be
an
RFA.
I think he's a UFA. I think he was an RFA last year. If only there was a website with this information available.
Well, that's what I'm looking at. I think he's going to be an RFA. Maybe I'm wrong on that because he was on his rookie deal.
Hold on, we got it right here.
Either way,
yeah, he's a UFA.
He's a UFA.
Yeah,
interesting. I would say you try and keep him for what? What's the most you would pay to keep Jalen Moore?
$4 million.
Yep, I think that's about right.
And
Mason
it's
Pline
solved.
Mason Pline's gone.
He's gone. They IR'd him, and he's gone.
Yeah. So anyway, I would say, you're looking at the season. If I was going to grade all these guys,
let's do it.
Let's see. Start with McKivitz. I would give him
C+.
Go number grade. Let's go number grade.
1 through 10.
Like yeah, I give McKivitz a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Dominic
Pooney, 8 out of 10.
7.
I would go 7.5, but we're not doing half.
Okay, we're parsing. Let's do it.
7.5. I give him 7.5 out of 10. 8 for a rookie. On the curve. Jake Brendel,
5.
3.
Ooh.
Oh, 3.5. 3.5.
No, it's fine.
I'm scarred from the start of the season where he was unbelievably bad.
Can't be a 4. I guess so. Got to be close.
And the protections have not been good. I don't know how much that is on Brendel and how much they scheme it.
Brendel's had his
Aaron
moments.
Banks, 2.
2.
He's been really, really bad.
It's never been good.
Jalen Moore, 6.5.
Oh, I would say Jalen Moore for the role that he's playing is an 8. He's a damn good swing tackle.
I mean, if you're grading against Trent, but yeah, I'll bump it up to a 7.
Well, Trent's an 8 too. That's where I lie.
Yeah,
lower?
No. I would say Moore.
This is not.
I don't know.
Great.
You're right though. Moore has been really, really, really good.
We don't talk about Jalen
liability.
Moore. Right now, listen. If Jalen Moore was your starting left tackle, we'd be having a different conversation. It'd be like a 6 right now. But
he will end up starting the final 6 games of the season.
Yeah, and we'll have a much better idea then. But as of right now, I'm giving him an 8. He has come in, and he could have been a just blood red flag every single game, right? Just sirens and klaxons going off like, hey, left tackle problem. They don't even worry about it. They're like, no, left guard problem. That's our real issue here. So maybe 8's over generous, but it's good. It's a good number.
Yeah, no, he's unquestionably been very good. I have one sort of big picture question that I want us to consider. So Chris Forster at the start of the year talked about their philosophy on drafting and how they'd rather go with a basically skill position player in the first 2 rounds and then consider offensive linemen unless somebody slides to them and they're, an incredible athlete, whatever. Do you think their philosophy of changes on that this offseason as it comes to offensive line or not? I don't think it changes.
No, I don't think it changes, and I think it should change. I think that the philosophy needs to be strictly getting the players that are best and most scarce. I think that it needs to be a strictly economic consideration in that, you're not going to get them all right. And the hubris of scouting is that you never account for the possibilities it won't work out. You just say, oh, I really like this guy. It's going to work out. And because you have a lot of people, everyone has their little pet project. And so they can't, because they have to sell, they can't look at the downside of that player. So it's not I think it's a fundamentally flawed process, but the good news is 31 other teams have that fundamentally flawed process.
Yeah. It's interesting because this has become an economics podcast with Dieter.
That's right.
Today.
And so my thought is, what are the most difficult positions to replace in season?
Offensive line is, you can find, if you got a rotation of guards, that can be okay. Tackle tends to be really difficult.
Look at what the Giants are doing right now. They went out and got Chris Hubbard, who the Niners just shot. Like a lot of teams are taking players that you and I both know firsthand can't play.
Offensive tackle's really tough.
So the idea of Pooney.
God, we have great commenters. I appreciate you sick folks.
Next episode.
We're gonna do a film breakdown of it's gonna be an XY axis where Brock Purdy falls on the Austrian economic theory.
Well, the idea that we're not going to be doing economics from this point on is laughable. We got to milk at least 6 months out of this Brock Purdy fucking contract. Today we're going to be disputing if he should make 53 or 54, and just fucking unreal.
And what that says about the American economic system.
Yeah, right. And so, where did America's middle class go, and why is it now Brock Purdy's fault? It is. This is that might be a comma. I'm writing it down. And so I would say that the hardest positions to replace in season, the guys that you can't go and get off a practice squad with these, that you can't sign off the street, are offensive line and defensive tackle.
Yeah, I would say particularly center and tackle. Guards, I think, are relatively findable. Tackles are very tough. Center, especially for the 49ers, are tough.
Oh, yeah. Which is such an interesting concept, because this entire year we've been wondering, like, okay, Brendel calls out the protections, but like, does he have the ability to change the protections? And it's like, I'm not terribly impressed with the mental requirements of being a center for the 49ers. We keep saying, like, oh, it's tough to be a center for the 49ers. Like, I'm looking for the evidence of that. I
know this is not like a real take.
In a pinch, but they're not going to move him.
I think they said that's the only position he wouldn't play.
Well, no, Firster said something different yesterday. It's Cam Inman, my colleague Cam Inman, is keen on Pooney moving over to tackle. I think that's a terrible idea because he can't move, which seems
he can move a little, but not in the way you want to tackle the move, I think.
Right. So, he could probably play snaps at all 5 positions.
By the way, real quick on the same note, Banks doesn't look like he fit the scheme. That's why we scratched our heads when he was drafted, because he didn't seem like a traditional guard for the scheme. And they also took him over Creed Humphrey, folks. Anyone remember that? Dieter, do you remember that?
Well, Jake, I
like Aaron Banks as a person,
he's
had a terrible year, and he is not even in the same stratosphere as Creed Humphrey, and no one would argue that.
Do you remember at the beginning of the season when people were saying that Aaron Banks was going to be a $10 million guard, and I blew a blood vessel in my brain? Do you remember that?
I do remember that. I remember people saying he was going to like price himself out of the Niners, and the reality is, I'd
love to see that now. Talk about economics, baby. That'd be a hell of a play.
He is a large young guard who played in a team that's been successful, so somebody will pay him. I don't know. When I say pay, I'm like 5.
Well, at least he got a car out of it, you know. So there we are.
Again, this has been the worst season I think I've probably seen from him.
It's been without question, and I didn't hold him in high esteem beforehand.
Yeah, and he had some injuries early, but it was rough.
And the calf thing, and then they say he's coming back, and it's like
and he you see it like he's overcompensating, like he's throwing his hands way earlier than anybody else is, and then he's getting off balance. That's how Fisk beat him really badly. Yeah.
By the way, have you watched this defensive tackle out of Michigan yet?
The large boy, the big honking lad.
Yeah.
I refuse to learn his actual name. I just know from seeing him. He looks like Harrison Phillips had a child with you ever seen
Fisk?
No, well, with Braden Fisk, or you ever seen is it the Spider-Man villain? Who am I thinking of?
The Green Goblin? Dr. Octopus?
No. Or maybe it's God, who is it? Someone in the comments tell me who I'm thinking of.
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
It's a man who's just ahead. He's just ahead, and he's enormous. I'm gonna look it up. You keep talking for 2 seconds.
Yeah, be careful with that Google search there, buddy. Enormous, just head.
Kingpin.
Oh, It ain't about the money, Spider-Man. It's all about the mints.
Yes,
that guy.
It's about the mints.
The greatest TikTok of all time. So
yes.
I don't even know what we're talking about anymore. They're going to have to redo the offensive line, and ultimately, I am looking for talent, especially at positions where I need to rebuild. If you say, "Oh, well, we need another wide receiver, or we need another running back, or we need another corner," listen, I'm not saying that don't look at talent in those spots, but the idea that you can moneyball offensive line or even defensive line, I think has been disproven. I think that those are positions of need. I think those are positions of priority in the modern NFL. And again, the idea that you can have a coach just make it all work for you, I think that speaks to a level of simplicity. Yeah, there we go. It's not about the money, Spider-Man. Played by Vincent D'Onofrio in certain movies.
Oh yeah.
Good casting.
All right.
Woodpit wants us to go poach somebody's center. First off, poaching
Drew Dahlman. Drew Dahlman.
You love the Atlanta Falcons.
That's the name. That's the one and only name.
No, they're not bringing back Elijah Mitchell. They can't do it anymore. They can't do it anymore.
Yeah,
they can't do it anymore. I can't do it anymore.
On a minimum deal, they might. We'll see.
Maybe like the Matt Breida.
Yeah.
Well, fair.
Didn't Matt Breida was on this team?
Oh yeah,
this year,
like in the regular season. So,
all right.
Yeah. Bye.
Well, appreciate you folks, and
we'll talk Sunday after the game. We'll have something to speak about then.
It'll be great. This has been our best episode yet.
Meanwhile, check out your tax codes and make sure that you're getting all the deductions you can.
And subscribe.
Oh. Yeah, okay.
Appreciate you.